Fort Scratchley is one of Australia's oldest coastal treasures. Built in the late 19th century to protect Newcastle Harbour from enemy attack, the historic relic has fallen victim to Mother Nature.
Oh, it's in quite a bit of disrepair. There's a lot of painting that needs to be done. There's a lot of guttering that needs to be done. And with the harsh environment up here in Fort Scratchley, it requires special materials.
Councillor Brett is spearheading plans to turn the fort into a major tourist attraction, but argues as owner it's the federal government's responsibility to pay for ongoing maintenance.
I don't believe that council would be willing to pay for the maintenance costs because that would mean that we'd have to use the ratepayers' money on a building that doesn't belong to the public in Newcastle.
Federal member Alan Morris claims since council has held the lease, security has been terrible and says council has handled the matter in an appalling and irresponsible manner. He believes the fort is an enormous tourist asset that's being underutilised. Claiming it's unreasonable the federal government should pay for the upkeep, Mr Morris today said if pushed, the Commonwealth may consider selling land adjacent to the fort to help raise revenue.
I don't know whether that's a feasible proposition. Again, whether or not the people of Newcastle would countenance that coming to fruition.
Melinda Smith, NBN News.
Most big brothers like to push their little brothers around, but the little brother here is Australian prop Paul Harrigan. No questions about who is the chief in this family.
I'll probably have to go the Indian on this one, I'd say, yeah, and
No, I disagree. He drives a very hard bargain.
33-year-old Mark Harrigan has just cut his ties with the police force in Sydney to work full-time for his brother as manager, keeping a finger on the chief's busy schedule.
things have pretty hectic there. He's got a few things on his plate, and that was one of the reasons why I came up, is to look after those things and so he can concentrate on his football.
And that means trouble for any team that comes up against Paul Harrigan. The chief has had a blinder of a series against the Queenslanders. Now he's facing the ultimate challenge, playing for the green and gold.
State of Origin gets the most attention and is the hardest and the most intense, but always in the corner of my mind is that I'm playing here to beat Queensland, but also there's a test match or a test jumper up for grabs, and that keeps me going too.
Mark Harrigan, who played reserve grade for both Newtown and North, says he loves his new job. The brothers even train together. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Detective Sergeant Lance Chaffey was back at work today at Region North Homicide Squad at Newcastle Police Station. For the last 3 months, he's been suspended from duties while a police tribunal heard evidence regarding an alleged meeting he had with criminal Arthur Neddy Smith at the Doyleston RSL Club. The tribunal has cleared him of any wrongdoing, dropping all 3 charges. While Detective Chaffey says he's pleased to be exonerated, he remains critical of the ICAC, which originally found he'd acted improperly. Although he believes in the concept of a corruption-fighting commission, Detective Chaffey says the ICAC has much to answer for. He believes he was used as an example by the ICAC to prove its strength. It was only at the police tribunal hearing that he was given an opportunity to discredit Smith's evidence and clear his name. He's now keen to put the past behind him.
Police believe Saxby had come to Newcastle with several mates early last night for a birthday celebration on the town. At about 4 o'clock this morning, the driver of a train noticed the man lying beside the tracks at a level crossing west of Newcastle Station. He was taken to the John Hunter Hospital with critical head injuries and placed on a life support machine. The police are unsure how he got there. Initial reports indicated he either fell from a train or he'd been walking beside the track when he was hit. Later in the morning, detectives from the Major Crime Squad took over the investigations.
Whitebridge High got the jump on Cardiff right from the start with good drive from the centre bouncers in fine performances by follower Gavin Thompson and little rover Ben Hodges. Full forward Brad Campbell got his boot into tune and slammed home 7 of Whitebridge's 12 goals. At the other end of the ground, fullback Brett McGugan was turning the ball back most times Cardiff managed to penetrate that far. The best for Cardiff were the 2 rovers Gavin Berry and school captain Mark Hall. The difference in the final score belied the tight marking and the general skill levels demonstrated by both sides. Whitebridge victorious 12-5-77 to Cardiff 5-2-32. Whitebridge will now play the winner of the North Coast Regional Final in Newcastle in July.
The Falcons were going through their paces today in preparation for this weekend's clash with fourth-place South East Melbourne Magic in Victoria. Newcastle, who were equal eighth on the ladder, clinched a thrilling 2-point victory against the Magic in Newcastle 3 weeks ago. Head-to-head, the statistics aren't favourable for the Falcons, with Melbourne winning 20 of their 29 clashes. But Newcastle are on a 4-games winning streak, and it's vital they make it 5.
This game here is probably the most important of the season. Going up here and try to get the Magic twice in 1 year and get ourselves a good position in the 8. It'll be a big game for us.
Saturday's game could also prove an important milestone for one of the Falcons' players. Now in his 14th season with Newcastle, Michael Johnson is just 9 points short of reaching 7,000 career points. If he does this, it'll make him the second highest Australian-born scorer in NBL history. For now, however, Johnson's more intent on keeping his mind on the task ahead.
I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not really worried about it, actually. As long as we get the win, then those sort of things can take care of themselves.
The Melbourne Tigers' Andrew Gaze leads the scoring tally by more than 1,000 points, a position Michael Johnson believes will never be threatened. Catherine Lamond, NBN News. Michelle Martin has only been back in the country for 3 days. Already she's on the court sharing the sporting knowledge which has seen her ranked as the world's best for the past 2 years. The 27-year-old has just wrapped up all 3 tournaments of the Asian circuit. A hectic schedule, but not as tough, she says, as it was to win in April for the second consecutive time the world's leading championship, the British Open.
It was very hard the first time round, but second time round I think people are wondering whether you can prove yourself again and whether it was just a fluke the first time. So there was a lot of pressure on.
As world and Australian champion, Michelle has done much to lift the profile of women's squash.
We're getting a lot more coverage now, and I think that's purely because we have a world champion here in Australia and the Australian women's team are world champions, and I'm out there trying to promote myself as well as the sport.
But Michelle says it's the grassroots clinic like this one with some of Newcastle's leading juniors that helps develop the sport the most.
We've had a big response in the country areas, and it goes to show that they are wanting the coverage, and they want to see people like world champions in the area, and it's just giving them an incentive to keep going.
Catherine Lamond, NBN News.
The operation began last night with a briefing of those officers involved. The areas to be targeted over the 3 days include street crimes, property theft and road safety. Of particular concern is an increase in break and enters.
Property theft is always a problem in this area. We're having trouble with break, enter and steal along the waterfront and in other areas around Toronto itself.
Joining uniform officers and detectives is the Highway Patrol. They'll be setting up random breath tests and speed checks in an area stretching from the twin bridges at Taralba to YE. There'll also be strong community input.
In this particular exercise that the police have mandated, we're also doing a particular project, and there's one very important question we'd like to have answered by the community, and that is, what do you expect of the police force?
Peter Byram is chairman of the local community consultative committee, which works closely with police, helping to determine the needs of the area. Along with officers, they'll be manning a caravan which will travel between Woodrising Estate, Bonnells Bay and Morisset. Operation O'Donnell ends Saturday night. Jodie McKay, NBN News.
2.5 years ago, this was a vacant block of land. With determination, a little instinct and lots of hard work, students at Nelson Bay High School transformed it into a flourishing agricultural plot. Just about everything from the enclosure fence in has been built or planted by the students using recycled goods.
When we started off to do a particular topic, quite often we had to go and actually build the enclosures for the animals themselves. So we had to then go out and find materials, and they came from a lot of varied places.
There's no worries, it seems, about the students not turning up for class. They love what they do and realise the importance of their contribution.
I think it's pretty important that we live in a healthy community, in a healthy environment, and make an effort to make it healthier for our children and stuff like that.
Students learn animal husbandry, horticulture, aquaculture and plant propagation. And their newfound knowledge is helping them earn $1. Seedlings the students collected and potted themselves have now been sold to local businesses. Catherine Lamond, NBN News. Port Macquarie's outside centre Steve McLean scored an early try, its conversion giving Port a 7-0 lead. Greg Wilson put Coffs Harbour on the board with 2 penalty goals, the second from 45 metres away. Trailing 7-6, Coffs Harbour lost second rower Ian Gray, who was sent off on a punching charge. The Pirates then went ahead 13-6 through 2 penalty goals from Luke Morris. Just before half-time, Greg Wilson narrowed the score by 3 with his 3rd penalty goal. Early in the second half, the Harlequins dominated but couldn't turn attack into points, and it appears they weren't the only ones becoming frustrated. Ten minutes into the second half, Luke Morris kicked his 3rd penalty goal, giving Port a 16-9 lead. Then the Pirates put the game virtually beyond doubt, with halfback Rod McLean going over, the score 21-9. After more controversy, Port wrapped up the game 26-17. Although Ellalong Township neighbours Ellalong Colliery, it's not a proclaimed mine subsidence district. Gary Cully works at the colliery and has lived in the area for 52 years, the last 28 of those in this house. In the past 2 years, cracks have developed both in and outside his home. He says this corresponds with a change in the direction of mining. Mr Cully is one of 30 residents who've lodged damage claims with the Mine Subsidence Board, believing vibrations from the mining have caused the damage. The Subsidence Board disagrees.
There's a range of problems that are common in any area, from bad construction practices to poor foundation materials.
When you've got houses that's brand new, you've got houses that's renovated, you've got houses that's been standing probably here for 50, 70 years. When they're getting damaged like that, it's not caused through drought. They've been through heaps of droughts and plenty of floods too.
Residents claim when mining is underway at Ellalong Colliery, they frequently experience vibrations lasting between 10 and 15 seconds. Some of them strong enough, they say, to rattle doors and windows and knock objects off shelves.
I reckon the vibration was every bit as strong as what when we had the earthquake, or some of them may be stronger.
The Mine Subsidence Board will meet residents on Thursday to discuss grievances and have employed 2 independent vibration experts to assess damage claims. Catherine Lamond, NBN News. The Tokau course started 15 years ago to teach cattle producers the theory and practical skills they need to be successful in the marketplace. They're taught how to judge a beast's muscle and fat content so they can buy the right animal at the right price. This involves a series of lessons on what to look for in cattle, including live weight, likely carcass weight, and for what market the meat would be aimed at.
Looking at animals that suit the domestic market, that's the local butcher, the supermarket, and of course the export markets to Korea, Japan in particular, and also the small but lucrative VC market.
More than 70 people signed on this year, from 17-year-old students to 50-year-old cattle producers. The best 2 participants will represent New South Wales at the national judging titles at Wodonga later in the year.
A popular crowd pleaser during the French Revolution, the guillotine still managed to attract a band of onlookers in Newcastle today.
I'm feeling a bit nervous, actually. This is my first time.
These actors are the cast of Novocastrian Productions' latest play, Guillotine, a comic look at how the device severed not only people's heads, but their ideals.
This is not the last time we meet, remember that?
Sure.
Oh, Jesus. Is my hair all right?
Bye-bye.
It's an historic prop that's caused headaches for its creator.
And he's had a few last-minute hitches because the blade comes down so fast, it's potentially rather dangerous. So to make sure it's safe, we've had to really fiddle around and play, and it'll be right on the night.
And while there's an audience, why not find out if such drastic measures of punishment should be reintroduced?
So tell me, do you believe in capital punishment?
Yeah.
For what sort of crimes?
Murderers, rapists, stuff like that.
But this opinion was not a popular one.
The majority does not want to bring back capital punishment, so especially not using the guillotine.
The play opens at the Mission Theatre on Saturday night. It could just be the experience a young dancer needs to step into a promising career. Since the Belmont Lantern Club took over the organisational reins a decade ago, Lake Macquarie's Dance Festival has grown to 10 full days of competition. Dancers from throughout the state will perform at Gateshead High in various items such as the 9 years and under song and dance. The event has become so popular, one section has attracted a record 53 competitors. World-renowned dancer Sir Kenneth Gillespie is sitting in the judge's seat. It's his job to award points on style and performance, gently guiding and encouraging the youngest of dancers.
After more than 2 years of speculation, the oak factory at Muswellbrook has closed down. A flag at half-mast with an old pair of overalls symbolic of workers' feelings.
All the things that are here and all the things that we've been doing over those many years, and suddenly tomorrow they're all gone.
19 people have lost their jobs. Today, past and present workers remembered the good times. Set up in 1953, the factory once employed 70 people. Making powdered milk, ice cream products, it was a distribution centre for whole milk. It's the end of an era not just for the workers but for the town itself. Muswellbrook was once purely a farming region. The closure of Oak just another sign the town is becoming more and more reliant on mining. Mine numbers are increasing, dairy farmers dropping from 250 20 years ago to around 100 now. Milk production has remained constant. Owners of Oak Australian Cooperative Foods, or ACF, say they're closing the Muswellbrook factory in a rationalisation program. More than 1 million litres of milk each week will be transported down to the Hexham base. Factories have already closed at Dungog, Wyong and Newcastle. Peter Ryan, NBN News. It's usually the last place students would want to spend their holidays, but at Newcastle Grammar they've come back in droves.
Enrichment Week is offering the students something beyond the normal classroom curriculum that we offer. We show them all of these things within their normal school life, but we find now that this is an opportunity to just go beyond that.
For the first time, the school has offered 22 courses, allowing students to gain some extra coaching.
We found the response has been overwhelming. We started off offering one course in things like gymnastics and ceramics and drama and typing, and found the response was so great that we've had to offer 2 courses.
Tall is not small, door is not hall, street is not mall, jump is not fall, and I'm not you.
There's no creative blocks for these young writers, happy to be putting pen to paper in their school break.
Well, for one thing, I like school and I like the work, and at home I haven't got that much to do.
It's definitely more than babysitting. Within the school we offer vacation care. We've found with this we've had a group of students who wanted to enrol, not because parents were working, but because it was something they particularly wanted to do in their particular field.
There's about 25,000 official missing persons in Australia. Some believe the number could be higher. Parents like Bethleen fear she'll never know what happened to her 21-year-old daughter Leanne, last seen in December 1978, one of 6 young women to go missing in the Hunter within a 6-month period.
And we just hope it's not murder, because, we want our loved ones back when someone's loved as much as they were.
Family and friends of the missing persons support group plan to lobby the government to launch an investigation.
We feel that there may be another Belanglo on the north of Sydney. There are so many lovely girls missing around about the same time. I think the numbers from Hornsby through to Maitland are something like 12 or 15.
Those left to grieve say any information could be useful.
Would like people to come forward where possible. Any little piece of information will be of great help. It may just fit into...
In a first for some inner-city retailers, doors were wide open for Sunday trading, heavily discounted stock leaving no shortage of bargains or buyers. Spurred on by fierce Sunday trading at suburban shopping centres, David Jones has led the way for 7 days a week service in the city centre.
We think it's time that we started trading as well, because the growth out in the suburbs has been more growth on the Sunday than any other day in the week.
About 75% of retailers are expected to follow, but some say it's a case of waiting to see if profits cover penalty rates.
Oh, great today, but everything's at cost and, you know, there's a lot of people here, but it just depends whether people keep coming, whether I'll keep doing it or not.